First off, I want to start by apologizing that I am late. I know that I am late. I just got done with a boot camp session and it ran over. We ended up having an interesting conversation. I wanted to make sure that I end up giving, wanted to make sure I end up giving her that undivided attention and being able to go from there. But hope everybody's doing very well. This is Travis from Carter Cow Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the forex market. This is another night session of Trade with Travis. What we end up going through and taking a look at different trading opportunities to be able to see if we could be able to make money inside of the market as a community, and obviously be able to see what y'all end up doing from a trading plan, celebrate you if you end up making money off of it, and ultimately being able to have a great chat when it comes down to everything that goes on with it. So typically I end up doing this from 9 to 9:30. I am a little bit late, so I don't know if I'm going to end up seeing everybody that I typically see, but we will go ahead and take a look at the trades. Obviously, today is the last session that we end up doing for the week, and being able to go from there. But as we go through, take a look at different opportunities and everything else like that. I will talk about what I end up seeing. If there's something that we can be able to take advantage of, obviously as a group, and if there's nothing that we can be able to take advantage of the group, then we can be able to kind of set up a plan and see what actually happened with it. But as people are hopping in inside of the live stream, my question is, how well did you do today? If you end up having a winning day, type in green. If you end up having a winning day, if you end up having a losing day, type in red. For me, today was a very small red day, so I'm going to type in red for me when it comes down to that. But it wasn't necessarily a bad loss. It was just that I think I ended up hitting break even on one of my trades. Indigo Gold, what's going on with you? I hope everything's going well with you. Red Day, what's going on? Yeah, Green Day, what's going on, Block? Steve, what's going on? OG. I hope everything's going well with you. So, talk about, for the people that end up having green days, talk about the trading pair that you end up placing in. I want to know what trading pair you end up having a green day on. I would have had a green day. I would have had a green day on US 30. I placed in a trade that we ended up talking about earlier this morning, and I started talking to my students. And as soon as I started talking to my students, I couldn't keep my eye on it, and I didn't have my trailing stop on. So I got kicked out of that trade. That was the only trade that I believe that I got placed in today. Aside from, I got placed in the DAX as well. So DAX was a win, but US 30 was a loss. So um, I still consider that to be a red day overall. But let's go ahead and get through the disclaimer real quick, and we'll sit up there and get through everything else. I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from the education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. Now, I understand that trading involves risk of being able to make money, also involves risk of being able to lose money, so please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it's not promised that you're going to end up making money today. Oh, you caught him. Oh, so you caught him on end up catching them on cryptocurrency. So Solana and XRP. Don't tell me the total two go up above 540. Did it go up above 540? Oh, matter of fact, I'm kind of curious to be able to take a look at that. As a matter of fact, I want to start off on taking a look at that now. Hold on, that'll be the first thing I'm going to look at real quick. We'll talk about the economic calendar and everything else, but I remember talking about that yesterday, and I was like, if the total goes up above 540, then I would look at being able to jump into those pairs as well. Let's see. Let's see chart. I think it was called Total Two, wasn't it? Total Two, I believe. Yeah. Okay. So no, it didn't. It's still in that. It's still in that position. All right. Okay. So yes, it's still in that consolidation. I end up saying as soon as they end up breaking out of 540, then I was definitely looking at being able to make a move off of it. But the total market cap is still in a position where it could pop up. Now, best part about it is that when you look at this, when you end up taking a look at where the high volume node is compared to where this overall position is, most of the volume is actually in this area. So if it breaks above 534, then we should start seeing that the market could potentially just start to really kind of move up to the upside on that one. Solana on a short, XRP on a long. Okay, well that makes sense because obviously the market's still kind of in consolidation when it comes down to that movement. Let's take a look at the economic calendar real quick just to see what ended up happening today and what's going to end up happening tomorrow. Both days are going to end up being basically both days are a trader's day. I do remember that. Yeah, both days are trader's day, so it's not going to end up being much of anything. Earlier today, it was very light news. GDP annualized ended up coming out, actually ended up being better. Initial jobless claims actually ended up coming out, ended up being a little bit better. But obviously, the United States dollar, it's in a retracement phase, so just got to keep that in mind. GDP from the pound is going to come out at 2 a.m. Tomorrow. Germany is going to end up having retail sales. It's going to end up coming out. They're expected to actually be actually expected to be worse. So keep that in mind. HICP for the Eurozone is going to end up coming out. So pretty much most of that news is going to be in Germany, and I mean it's going to end up being in the pound, Germany, and the Eurozone in general. So nothing's going to truly affect us aside from what happens at 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. during the London session. Okay, so we end up seeing that. Let's go ahead and get off of that. So let's talk about. I'm going to talk about what ended up happening with US 30. End up making some off of US 30 when the market actually ended up falling down. I ended up showing. I'll say watch 3 money making tips for finding explosive trade areas and how to find direction in the market the right way. Took some great notes. Thank you. That video took a little bit of time. Most of the time I have no script or anything else like that. I just talk. But at the same time, I really wanted to make sure that people kind of understood that. Really wanted to make sure everybody kind of understood that. But essentially, what is happening right here, and it's kind of what I said was a worst case scenario with US 30. We're in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, basically 6 days of overall consolidation. The market fell down. There was a thought process that I felt like the market could go down to 28,520 for its overall move, for us to take profit. But I ended up saying that I was probably not going to be interested in being able to take the sale when the market broke below 29,260. And just like a dodo, I ended up taking a trade anyway. But I was able to make a little bit off of this movement before it popped right back up into the upside early during that 9:30 session. But when it reverted back, I was like, okay, well, let's go ahead and just forget the trade. We'll go ahead and go back into that trade that we talked about earlier at 28,906. 28,906, I think, is the most safest trade at this particular point. And what's actually being shown in this position is that now, even though I don't like to necessarily see this, and even though this means that going into October is probably going to be slow at the beginning of the month, we are now in a larger consolidation block. And this consolidation block at this particular point in time is going to end up being very long and drawn out. So now, with that being said, US 30 is probably going to end up being into a position to where I don't necessarily want to be able to trade it unless now we're trading the resistance and support moves of them. Okay, so let me explain what I mean by that. I think most people actually know that, but I'm going to explain exactly what I mean when it comes down to that. What I think is going to end up happening now at this particular point is that at some point in time, the market is going to make a decision on whatever area that it's going to end up doing for buying up to the upside and buying up to the downside. But the range in this one is probably the largest range that we have seen legitimately since the beginning of the summer. It's 845 points for the overall range. So when it comes down to like scalp trade and everything else like that, I would not look at being able to scalp trade this. What I would look at being able to do is I'm going to probably look at being able to place in an order as soon as the market ends up. If the market ends up getting to the downside off of this one, I will have in a sell order, and then after that, I will have in a buy order at the same time. The reason why I'm doing that is because if the market ends up bouncing at this overall position, and now this is the landing spot for the market to truly be able to move to the upside, then I would want to be able to take advantage of this move to that move right there, and possibly even higher. I would like to be able to have my risk be a little bit just below where the market would be able to, um, if the market ends up breaking below it, kind of like what ended up happening right here, risking about 100 to 200 pips, or 100 to 200 points, but going after the overall support and resistance numbers and expecting a breakout. So if the market gets right here and it looks to be able to fall, then I'm going to hedge that position. This is strategy 4 of the vortex strategy. Typically, I don't use this as much, but when you end up getting a wider range, if you don't trade it this way, then you're not going to take a trade for a very long time. So the expectation is this: I'm going to take a sell, take a buy at the same time. If the market goes down to 28.520, then obviously my profit will end up being from here to here, right? Money for the sell trade would be from there to there in overall range. However, if the market bounces back up and I can see that it's going to take me out, then I'm going to early exit on the trade right here and allow the market to be able to push up those 800 points with the expectation that if the market does break out, now I have a trade that I can be able to ride for a long time to be able to see if it's going to continue to move up. Okay, type in a wire yes if that makes sense. Type in a wire yes if that makes sense. Now, the same thing that I'm saying to the downside is the same move that I'm going to say to the upside. So this trade that I have to the upside, I'm going to have another sell trade, basically saying that if the market falls down, then I'm going to take a sell all the way down to the bottom of this move and have a stop loss basically at a halfway point or a 100 point movement. So yeah, I will give up some to be able to try to make some based off of that. Now, obviously, this is the advanced portion of this strategy, but that's essentially what I'm looking at being able to do, especially with an 800 point range. We got an 800 point range. If we don't trade that this way, then we're never going to trade. Once again, type in a Y, yes, if that makes sense. But that would be the game plan that I am looking at being able to do. Move that out the way. Move that out the way. Move that out the way. Okay. Now, ultimately, does that work? Yes, it does. We end up doing it. Actually, end up happening right up here when we end up having that news from Jerome Powell. I ended up taking a sell right up here when the market actually ended up making that first drop, went all the way back to 500. Obviously, it popped right back up, but it gave you another opportunity to be able to sell again, in which it ended up falling that 1,000 points to the downside. With this market being at this range and we're having an 800 point range of overall movement, even automation systems won't catch this range unless you just make it to where it automatically reads that. So you'll legitimately have to be able to set up one set file to be able to make that truly work. However, in my case, I'm saying, okay, well, from a manual standpoint, I know that this market could potentially fall and be able to break down to this number of 28,520. It could happen. But now it's done show me on separate occasions that the buyers are ready to get back inside of this market. And I know that the United States dollar index is starting to get a little bit weaker, which means that the Dow Jones and everything else like that are going to pop up in value. So if I'm going to catch it at the low price. And if I'm wrong, then I'm going to lose a little bit. But if I'm right, you're talking about a risk reward factor of 1 to 8.96. You don't find that many trades that way, or find that many trades in that factor. And that's just saying that if the market breaks and goes above 30,000 again, it's not saying that if it makes that or continues this W pattern and possibly getting up to 30,500. This one could legitimately be that Christmas money that I end up talking about when it comes down to movements. And this is the reason why I really like October trades. October trades typically you have one big trade that you can be able to get into, and if you get it right, if you get it right and you allow it to be able to move, then it can truly be a game changer for you. So that's what I'm planning on. This is big fish hunting. But that's what I'm trying to hope to see. I hope to see that the market basically makes that move. Let me get. I'll give you some numbers and everything else back once I end up getting a better idea about what's going to end up happening. But ultimately, the entry on that sale, we still have that entry on the sale at 28,900. So 28,900 will be the buy area as well. Stop loss on that one will probably end up being right around 100 points because we have a 1 or 2 risk reward factor. Yeah, I mean, October is typically where I end up. October is when I typically have my biggest growth. It's done been that way for the last few years. But you got that. Um, October is typically a good month. November is typically a okay month. December is typically a very good month, right before Christmas time. And then January, you end up basically this. Um, Obviously, I don't trade from December 25th all the way until January 1, but January is typically okay. And then after that, February, March, and April slow down uh, because of tax money and everything else like that. There's no people that really have money inside of the market, so the liquidity goes down, and it kind of looks like the summertime trades again. So that's what I'm trying to look at, being able to take advantage. We have a large high volume node that's going to end up being there. I want to take advantage of the support and resistance of that large volume node. All right. Let's go into XPX 500. XPX 500 did not take a trade on it. Still have the position set up and ready to go if that does happen. I had the position 36.15, but I don't think I placed in that trade. I talked about the number, but I know I didn't place in the trade because it didn't trigger. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days of overall consolidation at this particular point. We're looking at this high volume node that we are paying attention to right here. Obviously, we have this first area where the market could be able to go. But if you look at the range of where we are when it comes down to this position, you're talking about 100 points, which is relatively high when it comes down to XPX 500. So it wouldn't surprise me if the market, once it ends up breaking out of this area, will start looking at being able to get back up to at least this area first. So now, when it comes down to that trade, I would say keep the first trade that we end up talking about when the market breaks out of 37.20. But ultimately, possibly being able to have another trade to the upside that you'll be going after from here to here. With generally the same stop loss. Who's that? No, thank you. But that would be the second trade that I would look at being able to get into if that does happen. XPX 500, I probably won't do the same. I probably won't do the same when it comes down to that large volume buyer support, seller resistance area, only because the range is not big enough for me in my mind, in particular, to be able to go after it. And if I'm going to go after it with certain trades, it will be NAS, it'll be US 30, and it'll be DAX when it comes down to those movements. But typically US based pairs, because we know that the US market is going to have to retrace a little bit. So I think that we'll probably see it in that. We'll probably see it from that standpoint on that one. Okay, so still waiting on the move at this particular point. Still have those 2 orders. The first order for us a sell trade, it's at 37.16. Take profit on that one is at 3,500. Stop loss is at 36,670. 37. Well, I'm saying 37,670. 36.70 will end up being a stop loss on that one. Okay, so those trades are still out. Just waiting to see what's going to happen with that movement. NAS 100 got placed inside of a sell trade. Got placed inside of a sell trade yesterday. No, I didn't. Hold on. Why do I have this? Oh, okay, I remember. Okay, I remember. 2 days ago, got placed inside of a sell trade. It was at 11,190. When the market ended up making that big jump up to the upside, that was the trade that we talked about at 6 o'clock in the morning, where it ended up popping up to the upside. We actually made that trade in this session. I ended up getting out at break even on this trade. Then after that, the market pushed right up to resistance and then fell right back down. Essentially, when it broke again earlier today, I did not take that trade. I still think that the market could go down to 10,990. But currently, right now, it's in the middle of consolidation, so there's really no trade to be able to take. Uh, I am going to adjust the. I don't think that we should, but I am going to adjust the consolidation box to. If I adjust the consolidation box right there, we have no area to be able to get into the risk reward factors off. We have to look at being able to take it all the way down to 10,340, 10,390 if that happens. Um, this is showing more of a sign that the market's going to pop up. I'm getting way more of a vibe that the market is going to end up popping up in October. I don't know if y'all feel the same way, but I feel like we're probably going to see a retracement first before seeing a fall. Type in. I want to get everybody's opinion real quick for the people that are still here. Do you think that the market is going to end up having a pop up first before actually going to continue going down? If you look at it, if we talk about this from a long term perspective, we're basically at the bottom of support of a larger range in this area. The last support level that was hit before the market moved was basically at 11,100. And it's the second time that the market's hit 11,100 to actually start popping back up. So I would almost consider that if the market is going to end up making that movement to the downside, this will be basically a large double bottom. Hold on, let me do something real quick. Let me take a look at the weekly. Two things can happen. One, I can say that this is an ABCD move, and the market could be able to fall. Um, Obviously, if the market ends up breaking 11,100, then it's gonna fall. It's gonna fall for dear life, and I mean it can go all the way down to almost down to the 8,000 area. If that does happen, just based off of the weekly. Um, but I will almost say that the market would have to be able to at least give people hope before actually falling down. You're thinking okay, so you're thinking that the market will push up at least till mid October before being able to fall? Is that what you're thinking? Steve, what you think? Do you think that the market is going to end up pushing up at least one last time before falling, or do you think that the market's just going to ultimately fall? Interested to hear people's opinions on this one. If we're looking from a value perspective, just historically based off of volume nodes, we are in a low volume node area, which means that the market should continue to fall. Let's see, I'm thinking mid October based off previous data. I'm speaking for cryptocurrency since the start of October. It's been an 80% bullish month win rate. Makes sense. I think it might be a double bottom. It might be a double bottom just to be able to see how the market kind of pops up. Um, what's still kind of what's holding me back from being able to say that the market is just ready to ultimately fall would be that United States dollar index end up hitting a weekly D extension and is getting close to an all-time high. Uh, in that case, I don't buy future all-time highs. I do expect that the market's going to fall eventually at one point. So, with that being said, I'll have to be able to adjust Take that off. Sync that. Sync this. Did I lock that? Okay. Okay, so the market's probably going to bounce right around there. 11,100 would end up being the sell area. If I look at being able to sell it, I would sell it all the way down to 10,990. Now, keep in mind, I would probably look at being able to place in two orders, and I would keep one order running. The reason why I would keep one order running is because that if from a weekly perspective, if the market ends up falling down to that position, then I mean, it's really in trouble. It's really in trouble. We'll probably end up saying that the market will have a large movement to be able to fall from there. Jeez, come on now. If it breaks the support of 11,000, then we're talking about all the way down to 10,390. So 10,400 before the market even considers being able to pop back up to the upside. There's a weekly D extension at 9,182 that could potentially happen as well. Once again, talking about doom and gloom, but if that does happen, then that's where it's potentially going. So that second order will end up being at 10,400. But once again, you have to sit up and wait on that one if that does happen. But if it falls, it'll fall in a hurry. Now, if it pops up, and let's say if it ends up making a move to the upside, then obviously I would look at buying the support and taking it up to at least 11,720. If that happens. But I don't think that we have to make that decision tonight. At least I hope not. Yeah, I don't think that we have to make that decision tonight. So I'm going to come back to that one. DAX, we're going to adjust the overall area. Like I said, we're starting to build out, just like with every other pair, we're starting to build out a larger consolidation box. The larger consolidation box will lead to strategy 4, which means that you're buying at support, selling resistance. Uh, Initially, when I ended up taking a look at this trade, I ended up taking a trade at 11,940. I also ended up saying this, like I ended up saying this a little bit earlier. I was like, you're being conservative. Look at just being able to take the trade at 11,860. If you're being aggressive, look at being able to take the trade while I took it. I was aggressive, but I did not place in my trail stop, so I got kicked out on this trade. Well, I didn't get kicked out, but the market basically at break even on this trade when it comes down to that movement. I would, if I'm being conservative, or if this is my first time actually taking a look at it for us being able to get in, I will look at being able to, let's see, unlock it. I will look at being able to get it in at 11,860 with a stop loss above the swing high at basically 12,040. Take profit will end up being at that 11,400 number and being able to go from there. DAX has been my most consistent, pair all year. Uh, if everything plays out and we take a look at how the trading has been going based off of DAX, it'll be up about 14% on this trade, or 14% on this pair for the month. Uh, I don't want to. I don't want to risk it when it comes down to this jumping into something. I'd rather be a little bit more patient because DAX has shown if you're patient, then um, it will reward you for that. Um, yeah, currently right now we're up 14% off of it. and still losing. I mean, we're not over 50% when it comes down to wins, but obviously you look at risk reward factor, we're still over that 1.5 number that you always want to be over. So that's the biggest thing. Last month we ended up doing 35%. The month before that did 26. The month before that did 32. So we're doing something right. The thing is that the question is how the market's going to end up reacting based off of this movement overall. Are we going to end up getting a fall, or are we going to end up getting a pop up? Especially with this, I think that we're probably going to see kind of like what I talked about before, having a larger consolidation block to be able to work off of. With that being said, any pairs that y'all like to be able to talk about? Any pairs y'all want to be able to go through? Any pairs that y'all like to be able to go through? Okay. Okay. Well, cool. So been a great week of trading. Just in general. Didn't necessarily make a lot this week, but it's been a great week. It's been a great month of trading as well. Hopefully everybody ends up having a great month, especially trading with us and everything that we end up doing. Uh, there was a lot of big moves that if you took advantage of, then quite frankly, you would end up having a great, you would have had a great month in general. Most of the pairs and everything else that we end up doing was profitable. That's all. That's all we end up asking for anytime that we end up trading in general. It wasn't the best month when it comes down to big growth. Um, but yeah, we're seeing that the market is starting to build out a range, and when this market breaks out of the range, whether if it goes up to the upside or to the downside, we'll end up telling you a lot about the overall market behavior that you're going to see in October going into November. Um, so just keep that in mind. Um, I don't think that we've hit a bottom yet by no stretch of the imagination. But I don't think that the market is ready to be able to truly make a big move to the upside either. So we probably might be in this consolidation for a little bit. So don't over leverage your account ultimately. But when the market ends up giving you a move and you see that move is, let's say you end up catching the bottom of the move or catching the top of the move, in which that's what we're trying to be able to do, take advantage of it because you end up going from there. XPX looks ugly. Pretty much every chart looks ugly at this point. Uh, but that, to me, like I said, that spills out opportunity because now if we catch those moves at the right position, let's say if we catch this move at when this move basically hits the support level and it pops up for us, then the range by itself is 800 points. That's not counting if it breaks out of that range, right? So uh, you may have to be a little bit patient. This time, this is one of those times where I would be willing to trade the outsides of consolidation back inside. Uh, I don't typically like doing that, but really and truthfully, this will be probably be the better trade to be able to boost up what we do in October. That also means that the market is going to end up changing. There's going to be uh, might have to adjust some of what we do in a strategy at least in the beginning of October. So I'm excited about it. But October is typically that month. October to January is typically your push month when it comes down to profit. So we got to sit up there and do it. Like always, if you like what I end up doing, click on that boost button for me. Also, if you do me a favor, go to that red brand. Make sure you take a look at YouTube and be able to subscribe what I end up doing from there. Gonna end up placing more content out on that, especially once we end up launching the Discord. Discord is gonna be launched on. It's gonna end up being launched on October 1st. That is confirmed. I am gonna end up placing out all that information, and for the people that are consistent when it comes down to uh, all the stuff that we've seen here. Obviously, I send that stuff over via the page on TradingView, via the mailing list that I end up having, and everything else like that. So super excited about that. This is the last time. Obviously, we'll talk on. This will be the last time that we end up talking this week. See y'all on Sunday. Hopefully, you end up having a good trading day tomorrow. I don't expect anything. Just keep that in mind. I really don't expect anything. Um, but if something does happen, hopefully you can be able to take advantage of it, and we'll be able to go from there. All right, like always, make sure that you end up planning your trade, trading your plan. Everyone, y'all end up having a good week. Obviously, we end up having a great month. We are at 692. We are at 692 people inside of the community. Once again, congratulations to y'all. Legitimately, I want to say it wasn't even last week was at 600. So super excited to be able to talk to all the new people inside of the community and keep on growing it. We're doing it the right way. And I know it takes time, but hopefully everybody's being able to make profit along the way and being able to do this. Like always, plan your trade, trade your plan. Everyone, you have a good weekend.